This is Kurt Warner, and we all love Kurt Warner, who did the arena football thing, by the way. This is Kurt Warner on the Rich Eisen show saying that Trey's play wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
When I watched the tape, I actually didn't think it was nearly as bad as people were talking about. There were some missed throws. There were some times, that I want to see him just process a little bit faster with the information. But overall, I actually didn't think it was bad. I thought it was progress from what I saw a year ago. And I think we always have to remember, I know he was drafted high, but he hasn't played a lot of football, and he hasn't had a lot of experience. And so, speeding up the game and understanding what they're doing, it takes time. And, that's just the nature of it. And I know, maybe unfair to him because he was drafted so high after not playing a lot of football. So the expectations are really high. But I thought there was progress there from what I saw a year ago, and that's kind of what you want to expect from a young quarterback.
I think I like hearing that for a couple different reasons, and I know it's preseason, but it does make you feel good and also sad about the situation because it makes you feel as if Kurt Warner is seeing an improvement, right? Even though it's not good enough. We know it's not good enough, right? But we also knew he was a project. If Kurt Warner is saying that he's seeing an improvement, that does make me wonder. So it makes me feel good because you think, wow, okay, Trey's moving in the right direction. But it also makes me feel sad because now we'll never know how that timeline would have matched up if he didn't get hurt last season.
You know what? That's more than fair. And I'm kind of taking two steps back because I got you kind of hot yesterday. You don't even know I knew you were hot because I'm talking about Brock Purdy and the rust in regard to him working himself back. Mm-hmm. But it feels like I'm omitting to myself that, Trey broke his ankle.
Right.
And you said, Goo, what did you expect? He's working himself back. But I kind of was like, yeah, but I kind of didn't stop there and kind of reflect of how hard that was just for him. But Styles, the video component that I think these pro athletes use and Trey being able to watch the 4 quarters in Chicago, the half a quarter against Seattle before he got hurt, and even the starts in Arizona, prior years, I'm like, maybe the mental reps there could have you when you do step back on the football field, that inner clock I keep talking about, like I'm Joe Theismann. That would be something that, we wouldn't see you holding the ball. And if you listen to the voice of the Niners, and I believe it was, who was with them, Ryan, they were saying they kind of had the gloves off. They were saying, Trey's got to get rid of that ball. But before they said it, my eyes saw it to where I was saying it. So, again, that was one game. We're going to see something hopefully more positive against Denver Saturday. But I do wonder, because you asked me before we went to break last segment, Styles, where am I at? And where I'm at is I'm going Mark Jackson, who's unemployed right now. Trey's fighting for his spot on this team.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed, and it probably was never even on the dock in regard to being a starter, surpassing Purdy, just because what Purdy did. Now Trey Lance is fighting for his life and his spot on this roster.
It's one of the craziest turn of events I think we've seen out of a quarterback, a starting quarterback, to get drafted, because normally when you go through the whole bust thing and it didn't work out, you had a season and it didn't work out, and maybe even the situation wasn't great, but hey, we got you on the field and you didn't make it pop. But you didn't even get to that with Trey because of injury. Man. So that's a tough thing as well. Kurt Warner, again, had some things to say on the Rich Eisen show, but this piece is more about the preseason play between Darnold and Lance.
You expect Sam Darnold, who's been in the league and been around and been in different systems. And then, like you said, when you get into preseason, the difference with preseason is everything's more basic. The coverages you're seeing are more basic. They're not game planning. The offense that you're running is more basic, kind of first-day install stuff that, is stuff that these guys have run a million times. And so, Sam Darnold, we've seen moments where he's looked really, really good. The problem with Sam Darnold has been consistency. When he gets out there and has to play every week, he hasn't played consistently. And so you can't read too much into preseason, in my opinion. Now, you have to look at the plays, and you break down the plays, and you want to see guys execute the play that they've been given. But it's a whole nother level when you get to the regular season, and you've got to see the things that people are preparing and throwing at you, and then play consistently in it.
So that has me thinking, because he didn't think Trey's play was as bad, but he's also saying it's a more basic package in the preseason than it is in the regular season. So if Trey could look like this in the preseason, what in the world would he look like in the regular season when the defense is throwing a bunch of fake looks and things at him like that? So you feel good about it, what Kurt Warner said, but then you also feel as if, so basically you're saying Trey should look really good right now. Everybody should look a little bit better because defenses are throwing the basic packages. But to your point and to Kurt Warner's point, he is a bit rusty. And it's just a timing thing, ultimately. That's what this is.
No doubt. And let's put the right on the table, brought to you by Atco Pest Control. Alan, that injury for Trey Lance and his family and everybody that loves him and wants him to be the best he can be in a 49er uniform, it came at the most inopportune time. And again, Purdy could have came out there, the last quarterback standing, and kind of failed, falling on his face, and maybe Trey heals up, rehabs, and it's here go the keys again. Let's drive the Ferrari again. I love the Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner. I love his lexicon. But to me, that was nonchalant and not in a bad way. Kurt's, he's got a comfy job.
Yeah.
You know, you could say it like that, like you did, and but Kyle's got like hard decisions to make.
Right.
And this kid's future is in the balance. So again, life is about timing. It's about opportunity. And Alan, the way I feel right now at 11:13 on this Thursday before a Friday payday is, will Trey Lance ever be able to supersede the bad luck that hit him with the injury and the emergence of number 13 in the red and gold? And right now, unless something happens in week 1 in Pittsburgh or during the season, you're not going to get on the field, son. First, you got to be on the 53.
Yeah.
And then the only way you get on the field is if you beat Darnold out, an injury. And I'm not rooting for Trey. Drew Don't Care on YouTube, one of our diehards, he's saying, guys, I just don't feel the excitement, and Willard kind of brought this up, from you guys when you talk about Brock Purdy. No, how can you say that? I'm super duper excited to see part 2. Can it be the equivalent of part 1, where you basically got a 99 on the test of a 100?
Right.
And there's no shade. I don't want any ill will or anything bad to happen to Brock Purdy, but that's the title of the jam. If we just put Lance to the side for a minute, this Niner team is ready to go.
Yes.
And Brock Purdy, can you sustain what you did? Is the interception city in practice anything?
Right.
I got my popcorn ready to see if you can duplicate what you did in a short sample size last season.
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to talking points, right? We know Kyle has made it clear. There's no more question marks in terms of Brock Purdy. They have set Kyle, John Lynch, and that Albert Breer article have made it very clear Brock is the guy, right? We're still in the preseason. We're still breaking down the QB things. This is a very unique situation. I don't know how many times we've seen this happen with somebody who got given the keys one year to the next year, fighting for their life to be on a roster. As far as Brock Purdy is concerned, you're not supposed to talk about the interceptions in practice. He's not playing preseason. We haven't seen him playing preseason, so there's not really much to talk about with Brock. Because we know what we have. We know what we believe to have with Brock. That's regular season talk, right? Brock, what are we going to talk about with Brock right now?
Man, just about the elbow.
He got cleared.
Okay, yeah. But
he's back throwing every day.
But he's not taking a hit. He's not gone to the ground.
Right.
The mustard on the passes. And there's a part of me, I got to stay off social. I'm addicted. Mm-hmm. But I am wondering, Alan, okay, if this interception thing is real, how much of that is because maybe is there a lack of arm strength? I don't know, but we're all excited to watch that.
Yeah.
And I told Steiny last year at this time, Alan, you tell me if I was off the mark, because I don't believe I was. All other 31 cities, the biggest question mark was about this 49er quarterback situation. And at that juncture, it had nothing to do with Purdy. Yeah. It was Jimmy and Trey Lance. Fast forward a whole year, The Niners go to the NFC Championship game. Mystery Relevant takes over. Looks like Montana. And here we are again. You take the rookies out of the equation. Tell me what is the most fascinating question in the NFL at the quarterback position. I'll tell you one for me, Dak Prescott and what I believe he's playing for his tenure in Dallas. Okay, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
They got to deal with Philly in their own division. But before that is, can Brock Purdy, the Spider-Man meme,
Yeah.
can he be what he was last year?
Yeah.
And if somehow he's not, Allen, oh my God, is Sam Darnold, is he seeing ghosts in red and gold? Or if he's not called on, it's Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that's just Content City.
Yeah, exactly. No, I hear you. I'm just saying we know in terms of the question marks,
Right.
we know for this year. So I'll say this. We know for this year what it is, barring injury. My question is this. Going back to what Joe Banner said, or you said, what would you say, Emperor from Star Wars?
That's what he sounded
Star
like.
Wars
Yes.
Emperor.
But he said
Okay.
he sounds sleepy.
33rd from the 33rd Team podcast that we played before the break. I will say this. As much as Kyle Shanahan, I was of the belief when I read the Albert Breer article, I was of the belief that they found their franchise guy. But from what Joe Banner said, and he has a relationship with Kyle Shanahan, right? From what Joe Banner said, now I'm starting to think, you know what? Is this more of a conversation about this year? Am I reading too much into what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are saying? If Brock Purdy goes out, and let's say he does, what is Brock Purdy's leash if they don't win the Super Bowl? How long would they rock with Brock Purdy?
We'll never know. We can feel.
We'll know if they don't win this year. Right? Will they be speaking about, let's say it wasn't Brock's fault or whatever. Let's say it was or wasn't. Whether it was or wasn't, at some point you got to win the big one. And I would say that depending on how they lose, there will probably be a conversation, because there always is with QB schools and everything, that Brock could have done this or Brock could have done that. And if you still are, now they are trying to tell us, they're trying to tell us there are franchise guys out there. I'm not saying you could have went out and got Aaron Rodgers, whatever, but there are franchise guys out there that you could have went out and got, right? Let's say Kirk Cousins, we know that the money is much, much different. But if you were deciding that Brock Purdy is your guy, then you were connected to everything that he does. And again, what is now the timeline? It's 2 years until you can offer him an extension. Okay. If you don't win a Super Bowl within those first 2 years, are you extending him? Even if he looks like he looked last year and they just still couldn't get it done because of the ability, the inability to throw the long ball, whatever it is, teams have caught up to him a little bit, but he still looks good. Doesn't it seem like Back to the Future? Doesn't it seem like we're having the same conversation that they had with Jimmy G?
Right. And I'm no doubt, and I'm still a line from our guy, John Dickinson. What does it look like, Allen? And I never toot my own horn. Beep, beep.
Okay.
But I got this saying, and I think it's phenomenal. You cannot hide your quarterback in the NFL. And you just said it. What is it going to look like? And I fight with Steiny all day long. I know Kirk Cousins from a stat standpoint, and this is across the board in sports. We know when we watch the games. The dude, there's not a throw he can't make, but there's that lemon booty situation where we see Joe Montana, guys that live for the moment, and then guys that just cannot, they go bonehead, or they make their most inopportune or their one mistake on the biggest part of the game. And that's what Kirk Cousins is.
Yes.
I don't know that about Brock Purdy, but I do like this from Kyle Shanahan. And tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm feeling this energy from you yesterday when they kind of anointed him and came out and said, this guy's our guy. To me, he's the guy for now, Allen.
Yeah.
That comes with the territory. But, pump me up. That's part of the job. A good boss is going to make their workers feel like, okay, you are that guy. But you know what? That lasts for so long. So Brock Purdy, in a sense, is playing for, quote unquote, that next contract. And if they don't get to the Super Bowl, if he did his job and the defense was kind of leaky, they're going to be able to know, okay, we didn't lose because of 13. So yeah, we can say all the kudos now that he's our guy, but you and I both know you got to go out there and ball out.
Yeah, you have to. And they've already positioned themselves to where they're good this year, right? Brock's been cleared. He was cleared about 6 weeks early. So my question is this, opening up the phone lines, 888-957-9570. If the Niners don't get it done this season and the conversation about the UCL surgery comes up,
wow.
Do you think that would be fair or foul? And I'm going to start with you, Goo.
Oh, it would be fair.
Nobody's talking about the UCL right now.
It would be fair. It would be par for the course. This is what it is. And, Alan, that's why when I mentioned my popcorn, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not happy. No, I'm not happy Brock got hurt. But we're all watching to see, oh, yeah, it looks good now. But talk to me when they're coming at you from the blind side.
Right.
We want to talk about what's going on with that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, that's when we're going to know if that's surgery, if he's really past that.
Right. But I think that the Niners aren't doing a great – you're not bringing it up at all. He's been cleared, right? And now he's throwing every day. We understand that there's a progression, but it's, hey, Brock's our guy. So to me, it would stink a little bit if I would want them to say, honestly, we thought that he would be in a different position than he is right now. Something does seem to be going on with the arm. You can't just not bring it up this whole time and say he's cleared, he's good to go, because Brock is the only person that's been saying coming back from rest, whatever. Yeah. Shanahan, they have not been talking about it. So I don't want to hear it if you don't get it done, because you haven't been talking about it.
That's crazy, Alan. Do you think, and here we go on Dr. Phil, because we're guessing, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any part of Brock Purdy's being that he's rushing himself back?
Everybody said no. I've thrown that out there before.
And if Brock told us that no. Is Styles, yeah, I am, because I want to be the starter.
Right.
But I got to be honest, I don't think he would do that to himself, but he's an athlete. He's got an ego.
At that time,
you
Trey,
saw what he did, how he replaced Trey, and what if Trey would have bought? So I'm asking you, do you think there's any part of that, or is Brock at a point in his life to where he's so secure with what he put on film last year, the playoffs, that he wouldn't even put himself in that position to not be able to ball out physically because he's rushing back, not for the wrong reasons, but so maybe Darnold doesn't get the and looks so great, and now he's Wally pipped.
It's hard for me to say that's not in the back of an elite athlete's mind and a competitor and somebody that knows specifically, like you said, how he got the job. Right? When you talk about relationships, how you got them is how you lose them.
My pops told me that
all the time.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's hard for me to say that wasn't in his mind. Was it enough for him to say, no, coach, I'm ready to go. I don't know.
But the doctors have cleared him to the point to where,
doctors don't have.
So scientifically, he ain't cheating.
Exactly. He said, hey, I'm ready to go.
But he ain't got tackled yet. He ain't been through 300-pound dudes. Alan, just imagine throwing you to the ground. Yeah. Or what if he's in that position again and somebody comes and it's was it Leonard Marshall to hit Montana in that playoff game? Oh, spinal. Yeah. I thought that broke Montana's back. But, that is all in play. And nobody's talking about the O-line, McKivitz in from all that is out of Brock's control.
Right.
It's all about us assuming that the O-line's going to be perfect in A1. Guess what? Week 1 in Pittsburgh's coming off the edge.